Welcome to Texas. Welcome. A state where 1 in 10 kids in this country calls home. I'm going to talk a little bit about my story, a little bit about what's happening in Texas's 23rd Congressional District. I see some amazing people, though, that helped along the way and were part of our amazing campaign last time. Shannon? Hey! Jessica? When I think about what's possible in Texas, I am looking at those that are going to make it possible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. My story starts 40 years ago, right? 40 years ago, my mother came to this country. My mother graduated from the #1 university in the Philippines, but she wanted a chance at the American dream, right? A chance at a country whose promise is if you work hard, the sky's the limit. And so I carry that with me as a first-generation American. This is a district that includes 40% of the U.S.-Mexico border, 40%. And so I know only by the grace of God, only by a little bit of luck, is my story different than those young folks coming up with their own families up to our border and also similarly seeking a chance at their best possible life. Can you imagine that? Knowing from a very young age that if you want to live your best possible life, you're going to have to leave your home country. For many across this planet, they know that that's their circumstance. And that's why my mother reminded my younger sister and I every single day that we were lucky to be born here. We weren't smart to be born here. We were very lucky to be born here. We have to give back to a country that gave us so much. Wasn't always easy. My mom raised my younger sister and I by herself. There's a special place in heaven for single mothers. That place is open bar. Reduced lunch, subsidized housing. Why do I think those are important? Because they allowed me to earn a 4-year Air Force ROTC scholarship that took me from the far west side of San Antonio to Boston University. Those aren't handouts, those are investments. Right? Show me how you treat the most vulnerable among us and I will show you your character. Yeah, you snap that. So after Boston University, I served in the Air Force as an intelligence officer. I deployed to Iraq. I served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And if you better believe I know what time it is. In my lifetime, the implementation of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the institution of the trans ban, and the first viable LGBT candidate for president. Oh, by the way, the last two happened within 48 hours. Right? The last two happened within 48 hours. And I think that's very indicative of the forces that are pulling in our country in very different directions with equal strength. When I came back from Iraq, my mom said that while I was gone, she was diagnosed with cancer. She already had the surgery to have it removed, and she was already undergoing chemotherapy. So, look, I made a decision then that I would have to separate from the Air Force, go back to be with her. You know, I knew I'd have a lot of jobs in my lifetime, but I would have one mom, and it was important for me that I be with her. So I separated from the Air Force, went back to San Antonio, advised on operations all over Latin America, all over Africa. Everything from the Vote for Independence in Southern Sudan to being part of the intelligence cell that supported the Libya crisis. I then wrapped up my federal career working in the executive office of the president. I was the intelligence community's senior advisor for trade enforcement. So in a nutshell, the focus on the protection of American intellectual property. And then I led a portfolio that focused on making sure that foreign direct investments did not pose a national security threat, right? So the night of the election, though, I really had to take a step back and say, you know, what is this going to mean for me? Am I going to have to serve in a different way? And ultimately, I made the decision that I was going to have to step aside and make sure that my community was well represented. Because I have served in countries where women and minorities are targeted, right? I've served in countries where government's disregard for conflict of interest has hollowed out these countries, and I have seen what happens when good people don't stand up. And I talk a lot about opportunity because I know that there are not a lot of countries where someone can go from reduced lunch to working in the executive office of the president. That doesn't just happen, right? My community invested in me, our country invested in me. And so when people ask, why are you doing this? I'm running to protect the opportunities that allowed me to grow up healthy, get an education, and serve our country. Something everybody should be able to do. why I'm running for Congress, because I don't care what committee you sit on, right? I don't care what committee you chair. A member of Congress really, at the end of the day, does three things. They create opportunities, they protect opportunities, or they erase opportunities. They do that with their voting record, they do that with their record of silence, and you and I are seeing every day just how dangerous that silence can be. One of my earliest memories is quizzing my mom on her naturalization test, right? And it's why to this day I know Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." And I'd come to find out that I would never have to take that test. But I think the reason you've taken a couple of days out of your lives to be part of this wonderful academy is because you know we are being tested, right? Who are we as Americans? What kind of country do we owe the next generation of Americans? What kind of world will we live in without American leadership? The answer to the last question can be very, very dangerous, I can tell you firsthand. So I want to thank you again for the commitment that you're making, not only to improve your own skill set, but to improve your community and to make sure that our country gets back on the right track. So Texas is 23rd Congressional District. I already got rid of Will Hurd. Scare that guy out of the race. And so we are ready to win and ready to serve. What's going on in Texas 23? It's that district that runs from San Antonio all the way to El Paso. And for those of you that are not from Texas, for East Coast reference, that's from Manhattan to Raleigh, North Carolina. West Coast reference, that's from San Francisco to San Diego. Right? 2 time zones. You know it's big when it needs 2 time zones, right? Anybody from Georgia? Who's from Georgia? Yeah, this district's bigger than Georgia. Yeah, it's massive. It's the 6th largest in the country. Hello, gerrymandering, right? This is a district where 40% of the U.S. border with Mexico runs. So Del Rio, Uvalde, Eagle Pass, Presidio, Big Bend is in this district, all the way up to El Paso. Just a couple of weeks ago, to be fair, we are literally and figuratively on the front line of what's going on right now. This is a district that is 70% Hispanic. A couple of weeks ago, I was in El Paso right after the shooting, and I'd had to do one of the things that is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life, which is look at 22 white crosses lined up, right? And it was probably as long as that wall there, but 22 white crosses, each for one of the innocent lives lost. And in the background is the Walmart parking lot. There are cars still there, parked. You've got the shopping carts pulled up to them, you know, and it was still cordoned off because it was an active site. 22 white crosses. White nationalism, domestic terrorism, ridiculous gun laws resulted in the largest massacre of Latinos in American history, right? Not in 1819, not in 1919, in 2019. A couple of months ago, I was just in Del Rio. Del Rio is a community also right on the border, about 3 miles up from the border. And they had their very first Pride celebration. Yeah. They had their very first Pride celebration, so it was wonderful to be a part of that. Change is happening, right? Even in South Texas. But we also took time to go visit a shelter. This is where your migrant families are staying a night or two. And before that, they actually didn't even have a place to stay. So CBP officers, so overwhelmed, were literally dropping migrant families off at the gas station. You had folks driving by and taking pictures of them like they were animals. So thankfully, you know, the city, the county came together, identified this facility, and now these families have a place to stay a night or two before they come up to San Antonio and take a plane or a bus to wherever they're ultimately going to go. That's at the cost, though, right, of Del Rio schools, their streets, their hospitals. Oh, by the way, we also stopped by the port of entry, right? This is again right on the border, so it's extremely, that cross-border traffic is extremely important to the economy there. The mayor said, we lose about $40,000 a day just in lost economic revenue. You've got CBP officers pulled from that mission working on something else. So you've got fewer lanes of traffic, longer lines, and people just aren't making the trip as frequently as they do. So this is what we're dealing with in Texas 23. You've got heightened costs due to what's happening with the migrant and refugee situation. You've got less revenue, right, based on what's happening at the border. And oh, by the way, the communities communities that are literally on the front line and paying the highest cost for these failed trade and immigration policies and this racist rhetoric, these are the same communities that this president doesn't want to count on that census. The same communities that would serve to suffer the worst over the next 10 years if there is an inaccurate or incomplete census. This is a community from San Antonio to El Paso. You know what you won't find on an 8-hour drive? A Planned Parenthood clinic. Right? Yeah, well, we can clap, so that's not the case. But like, this is front and center for this community. When you talk about the fact that a woman in Texas is 7 times more likely to die during that process than if she had that baby in California, it's precisely because they're taking away women's access to safe reproductive services. This is also a community that is extremely reliant on making sure that we've got economic opportunities throughout, right? And when I think about, Kate very much mentioned, we've got to work with folks. One of the things I look forward to doing and working with anybody on is closing the gap between our urban and our rural areas, right? We cannot allow for certain communities to have certain economic opportunities, educational opportunities while we leave people behind. And that's all throughout this district. We as a country need to move forward together. We've got to have leaders, though, that are willing to put our communities, their constituents, above their own political rhetoric. So I know that you all have been working very, very hard. I want to thank you again. I know we've got organizers, is that right? We got organizers. We've got campaign managers. We've got digital. Digital's like. We've got data. Where's data? Where's finance? Finance is like throwing dollars in the air. Who did I miss? Comms. Where's comms? And organizing directors. Who's our organizing director? So the candidate can only do so much, right? The candidate can only meet so many people, can only make so many phone calls, and you all are the heartbeat of a campaign. You all are the eyes, the ears, the brain, the heart of the campaign. I hope you understand that. I hope you understand truly how important your job is, not only to win a campaign, right? It's not just about winning the campaign. It's about taking our state back, right? Again, I started it with the 1 in 10 kids in this country that calls Texas home, right? And you're going to go off and you're going to do wonderful things all throughout our country, but I just want you to truly understand how appreciative that people like me are, because we could not run without you. We could not run, we could not win, we could not serve without you, your leadership, your sacrifices, and your commitment to our communities and to our country. I want to leave you with one thing. I know you are each doing individual training, right, in your expertise. But there's a wonderful story, and maybe many of you have already heard it, when John F. Kennedy goes to the NASA headquarters, and he speaks to a janitor, and he says, "What are you doing here?" And he says, the janitor replies to him, "I'm helping to put a man on the moon," right? Never lose focus of what you are doing. You are not simply doing digital. You are not simply doing comms, right? You're not simply doing organizing, right? The big effort here is making sure that we've got a country, as Barbara Jordan said. Barbara Jordan the first, that's right. Yeah, that's right, Houston Pride. Barbara Jordan was the first African-American woman from the South to serve in the House, in the House of Representatives. So you're not just in your individual expertise. It's not about comm or field. I think you are truly doing what Barbara Jordan said, which is realizing and helping the people, the American people, achieve the American promise, which is easy, right? What the American people want is a country as good as its promise. That is what we're all working toward. And I want to thank you again for taking the time. And I know you've got your campaigns, your big campaign to win the Arena Cup. And I've got to highlight, because on the way over here, I made the very smart decision of standing right side of the office where Naveed and Mariah and Becca were working on their campaigns. And when I say that the campaign is the heartbeat of the campaign team, is the heartbeat of the campaign. Naveed actually exemplified that. You know why? Because he comes, where's Naveed? Naveed, okay. This guy, I gotta appreciate it. He comes up, he introduces himself, he's got his whole team, where's Becca and Mariah and Ryder and everybody? Yeah, exactly. He comes up and he said, this is what we're doing. Can I count on your endorsement? That's right. You've got to make sure that that candidate gets everything, right? He laid out the platform, it was wonderful. But you can't teach hungry, right? You can't teach hungry, and I appreciate that. And I hope you'll always keep that in mind and do exactly what Naveed did, because that's a wonderful example of how you should always be working and don't leave anything on the table. That's right. So look, thank you again for what you're doing. Best of luck with the rest of your training. For those that are from Texas, well, heck, frankly, I hope everyone here stays in Texas. It's the battleground. It's the battleground. And there are no other warriors that would rather be on the battleground than arena-trained fellows. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and best of luck. Let's take our country back.